Moscow is definitely the place to be today. It's like Tokyo 15 years ago or Los Angeles 25 years ago. It's where you have, it's like the Wild West. You have businessmen, mafia, designers, architects, techno music, a true, genuine renaissance. And it's like if suddenly they were opening the window and they don't know how to cope with freedom. The fairground is full of technology, but a kind of retro-futuristic type of technology, what I like very much. I remember when I was looking through the windows of my grandparents' flat, where these fairgrounds used to be installed every year. These people are really true artists, street artists. I mean, and you can smell the activity. It's full of smells, full of colors, full of lights and sound and circus music and all this kind of strange, very romantic gypsy type of attitude and approach to life. And I think my work is certainly been influenced by the circus life or fairground life. I remember when I was a teenager, I've been absolutely impressed by an exhibition from a abstract French painter called Pierre Soulages, and it was in the Museum of Modern Art in Paris. And I was about 14, 15, and I was totally impressed by these paintings, all black and white, and dealing not with colors, but just with textures and layers of textures of paintings. And when I first put my hands on the synthesizer, on the electronic instrument, I suddenly realized that for the first time in music, you could act as a painter with frequencies and sounds. At the beginning, I started with anything I could grab that could be electronic. It could have been an old tape recorder or an old radio, playing with frequencies. I remember that one of my first work had been done with an old radio, and I was going to the short waves range and recording this strange electronic sound and playing with it. I used to start mixing this kind of weird electronic sounds with when I was playing in a rock band. It was called the Dustbins, very punk at that time. In my band, I was mixing electric guitar and organ and flutes and all kind of things we could use in pop music these days, with this kind of strange sounds that I was recording, slow down or speed up, and also playing reverse by reversing the tape, and all kinds of things that you now are using as a day-to-day process in electronic music.
So at that time, I've been engaged by Francis Dreyfus for doing artistic direction in his company. And of course, right away, I told him about Jean Michel Jarre and how unique that artist was, and that he was not ready, and he needed money to construct a studio, to buy synthesizer.
Chatting with the guy, I just realized, because it was very confused for me, that synthesizer was not really a gadget, but he convinced me that it will be the instruments for the end of the century.
I've been one of the first in France to develop the idea of a concept album with French singers and musicians such as Christophe and Patrick Juvet and Françoise Hardy. So I wrote some songs, sometimes only music, sometimes only lyrics, sometimes both. I've done quite a few hits by writing lyrics, and then I've been more and more involved into instrumental music. So maybe in the third part of my life, I will put some lyrics on the music I perform, maybe.
We began working on his first Oxygene album, so I went to his studio in Paris. It was a small studio with minimal equipment, an 8-track recorder, small mixing desk, and only a few synthesizers, and it was the very beginning.
The sound of Oxygene certainly is coming from the fact that I had that kind of minimalist way of recording and minimalist way of considering textures from one to another. The ocean against rocks or the wind against wood. I've always been influenced by the chemistry of nature, sound-wise.
To tell the truth, I'm passionate with music, and with electronic music, I'm not so sure. But with Jean, you know, it's something completely different.
People did not want to accept it for a very, very, very long time. They did not want to accept those types of instruments as being kosher, literally. They said they are not a musical instrument. So in a sense, you know, you're sort of, you're sidelined from the musical industry practically. You know, sort of have a little box of your own. Synthetic music, beware. It was very much that for quite a long time,
When synthesizers came out and drum machines, very few people knew how to use them to make symphonies like what he did. Most of it sounded very mechanical, very technical, very raw. It didn't have human spirits in it.
Well, I'm not sure when I first became aware of Jean Michel's music, but I know which pieces it was. Equinox and Oxygene were the first of his recordings, and he may be annoyed when I say that they're still among my favorites.
When I listened Oxygene nearly finished, I had a big argument with Jean Michel. And I made a big mistake, because I told him it will be a big hit, and you will sell 5 million records. We sold, 10 millions.